This page is the patient's dashboard. This is where you will be able to create chart notes, to add any information pertaining your patient, and much more. At the top right corner, you still have the same buttons that the provider's dashboard has, which is access to your calendar in MPN, access to the provider's dashboard. This icon here is the patient dashboard, which is what we are now. And in here, you will be able to edit, add, or clone existing chart templates so you can make your charting faster. On the top left corner, there is a menu bar that it is disabled at the moment because this menu bar will be available in phase 2 of our software in a couple of days. The only icon that is available is this telemedicine icon. The old telemedicine feature in MPN is now obsolete, and we are only going to be able to do a telemedicine conference through your paid Zoom account. So if you have a paid Zoom account, you will be able to link it to MPN and you will be able to do a telemedicine conference, share screen, all of the feature that Zoom provides directly from MPN. To do that, you click on this icon and it's currently showing a black screen, but this is where you will be able to connect with your patient and it will show you the option that Zoom usually provides. In order for us to link your Zoom account, you have to contact your customer service representative and they will ask you for your API key, your secret key, and other information in order for us to link it accurately. There are some articles already that you can read so that you can know how to obtain that information and email it to your customer service representative. To search a patient, you simply click on this search patient icon and you are going to be able to search for a patient. If you notice, it does not give you a drop down of your patient. It doesn't list your patients until you start typing, and it will start showing a list after your third letter of your patient's last name. Why? It's because we are trying to make the software faster and it's not going to be loading all of your entire patient database, but only those patients who have the following letters to their name. You can search by name, by last name, by phone number, and by email. If you pre-populated all of your chart notes for the day from the provider's dashboard, anytime you come in to your patient's dashboard, the software will remember the order that you left them in. So even if you're charting and you log out, when you log back in, it will honor your settings. So even if you go to lunch or you walk away from your computer and the computer locks, when you log back in, you don't have to start everything from scratch. The software will save your settings. Let's take a look at the different widgets available in the patient's dashboard. Something that you need to know that is very important is that all of the widgets outside of the chart notes are independent now from your templates. So now any information that you want to include in your chart note, you'll be able to add it depending on the widget or the information that you want to add. The first widget is the quick notes. This is exactly what you used to have in the old EHR, except it is enhanced. The quick notes are pretty much self-explanatory. There are quick notes that you pre-populate. So when it's time for you to chart on a patient, you don't have to retype everything all over again with each individual patient or similar patients, but you can go ahead and create the quick notes so that you could drag it into your chart note. You can filter by categories, which you can create on your own. To add a quick note, you click on Quick Notes. You add a shortcut name. We're going to go ahead and put diabetes as a shortcut name. We're going to add an option for a category because I don't have a wellness category. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this teal disc. It adds the category. I can click on the pencil and edit, or I can just basically select the category. Enter my text. So for example, if this is going to be a shortcut for that, so that every patient who comes in with diabetes, I have already pre-populated the findings or the information I need to display here, then I'm going to go ahead and type it. So I'm going to go ahead and add my text. I'm going to click save. And there is my diabetes quick notes for wellness. I have also IV notes for therapy and this text category that I created to show you that you can delete, you can edit, and I'll show you how you can send this quick note to your chart note. So let's go ahead and delete it. It's going to ask you, do you want to permanently delete it? Yes, it deletes the quick notes. Now I'm going to add a chart note. Okay, so do you see where I'm saying, for example, ordering notes? And so let's say I am going to fill all this information, but on my ordering notes, I always put the same thing. So I'm going to come to my IV notes. I'm going to click on this plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my ordering notes. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And there, my IV notes that I pre-populated for my quick notes have now been brought over to my chart note. I didn't need to retype it. I didn't need to copy and paste it from an existing template to this one. As long as I have quick notes available for specific treatments or conditions, this is going to help me facilitate. So for example, if I want to come in and create a chart note, my diabetes template, I'm going to click on next. And for my subjective, I am typing, right? And I remember, oh, you know what? I have a quick note for diabetes. Let's go ahead and click on add to chart note. I'm going to go ahead and add it to either my subjective text field or my objective. We'll do subjective. There you go. The paragraph I had created went ahead and added by just 2 clicks. This is going to be very helpful during your charting, especially for chiropractors, for acupuncturists, for MDs, for wellness centers, because although you see many patients and they are concierge driven, the conditions that you see are very often and are very familiar with most of your patients. So therefore, instead of having to retype every single time you do blood work or you do any type of template or any type of charting, then just create a quick note and add it to the text field. Quick notes have to be added to text fields that you create in your template. And again, once you start having a lot of quick notes, it will be easier for you to filter by category. So that way, all of your IV therapy quick notes show up. It is going to be very beneficial that you are specific with your title. So that way, you don't have to be scrolling from one quick note to the other to find out exactly the paragraph that you want it to be. And before we end with the quick notes, you have to remember that when you edit a template, the only fields that are going to be allowed for you to add a quick note to is the text area option. Not the text field, not any other field, not a paragraph, but a text area. So keep that in mind when you create your templates. The documents widget will, of course, let you see any documents that are in the patient's profile. You can click on the view icon and it will create a new tab with that file so that you can review and still be able to tab back to the patient's dashboard. Phase 2 will allow you to upload an image or a PDF directly from this widget. The vitals widget will let you collect the vitals that you need depending on your patient's need. To add a vital, you're going to click on this plus sign. It will pre-populate the date. You can enter height, weight, BMI will be auto-calculated. So for example, if my patient is 5'8" and weighs 170 pounds, the BMI is auto-calculated to 25.85. If you put the period or if you put an enter, it's not going to work. You have to use the correct measurements. You can enter blood pressure, all of these other vitals. If there are other vitals that you usually collect that are not in here, you can select other, or you can bring those suggestions to us through the chat support so that we can add them. In phase 2, you will be able to add those on your own. And we'll go ahead and click save. So once we save it, you'll be able to see the list of the vitals that you have available for the patient. You can add it to a chart note by clicking on this icon. Right now it's disabled because I don't have a chart note open. I'll show you how it's going to look that in just a minute. You can edit, you can delete, and you can change the status. What does this mean? Well, let's say that this BMI is old and you don't want it to show anywhere. You can inactivate it, set it to today's date, and it's not going to show unless you want to show it. So now I'm going to go ahead and open my diabetes template. And under my subjective, I am typing. And let's say that I want to add my vitals. So I can click on add to chart note. I'm going to add it to my subjective and click save. If you notice, there's my vitals, and I can actually come in and keep adding to my subjective. There's the other one, and I can add the height. So that is how you are going to be able to then add the vitals into your chart note. You can always, like I said, edit a vital, you can delete a vital, and you can change the status to inactive. The chief complaint widget is independent from your chart note. So you'll be able to come in to add a new. So you'll be able to come in and add a new chief complaint. It's going to ask you to select the date. You're going to enter the complaint. And you can add it directly from this window in case you want to add it. If I go ahead and click save, so let's go ahead and add a chief complaint. I'm going to select the date, the chief complaint, and you can actually add it to your chart note from this window. Let's go ahead and select subjective again. We're going to click on save. There's my notification that it's saved. And if I scroll down, there's my chief complaints. I can keep on adding more. And I can choose to add it to my chart note. And if you notice, it's going to keep adding in the same list so that you don't lose the organization within your chart note. The same thing with you can add it individually after you add the chief complaint. You can edit the chief complaint, you can delete it, and of course you can change the status to inactive. So for example, if they first came in with migraines, but it's now a month from when they first came in and they no longer suffer from migraine, you can go ahead and change the status to inactive. And you will see that you cannot edit, you cannot delete it. You can just change the status back to active and delete it if you need to. But this way, it just keeps a history of the chief complaints that the patient had that no longer has. The ICD Codes widget allows you to add ICD codes to your chart notes. So you can click on the plus sign. The search bar is going to show empty, but once you start typing, it will then give you the code. So your list is going to start populating after the second letter. Why is this important? Because in order for us to make the software faster, we are only going to pull the data that you're needing. So that way it does not overpopulate and slow your charting. We'll go ahead and add it to the subjective again, save it, and that's how your ICD widget will work. Now, let's take a look at the supplement widget. I'm very excited to show you this widget because let's go ahead and add one. I'll show you why. You can search. It will give you a drop down once you start typing letters. So it's like with any other search in this new EHR, it will not bring all of the database, only the ones that are close to the letters that you're typing. Dosage. Let's go ahead and copy and paste the instructions. We're going to go ahead and add it to our objective, and we're going to click on save. There it is, the supplement, the dosage, the schedule, and the instructions. Now I'm going to add one more. I'm going to do vitamin E, 1 drop. We'll do when you wake up. We're just going to apply to face. Again, we're going to add it to the objective. We're going to go ahead and click save. There it is. There's my vitamin E and my supplement. If you notice, there is a print button where you can choose to print inactive supplements as well, but in this case, I'm only going to print the active ones. And this is how the supplement list looks like. We're going to go back, and if the patient has an email attached to their patient profile, you can actually click on this send button and it will email the patient the supplement list. We're going to go ahead and click send. And there you go. Your patient will have the supplement right to their email. So when they walk out of your office, they know exactly what to do by just pulling the email, or you can also print it and give it to them in a handout. The medications widget is just a list of medications that your patients are providing you, not necessarily prescriptions. The e-prescribe module is going to be here at the bottom. So to add a medication, you can click on the new button, add the medication. You can add the schedule. The schedule is limited to the following: arising, breakfast, lunch, dinner, with food, empty stomach, bedtime, and awakening. If these schedules do not work for you, especially with medications, you need to contact us so that we can find out how to help you. In this case, we're going to do an arising and instructions. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my objective. I'm going to click save. There it is. You can edit, you can delete, and you can inactivate this medication. So for example, if the patient is no longer taking Advil, you can click on this plug, inactivate it, Click Save, and the medication becomes inactive. To activate it again, you click on the plug again and the status becomes active. You can print the medication list and you can email the medication list to the patient. The allergies widget, you can click on New, add the allergy, and you can again add it to your chart note. In this case, I'm not going to add it to my objective or subjective. I'm just going to add it to my list. And there you go. Phase 2 will allow you to create categories depending on the allergies, whether it's a food allergy, etc. To add a family history, you're going to click on the family history widget to the plus sign. You can select the date, the diagnosis, the kinship, and you can choose to add it to your chart note. Just go ahead and save it. If you decide to add it later for a future chart note, you can go ahead and click on this button. You can edit, you can delete, and you can inactivate or activate. The medical history is also very similar to the family history. You're going to click on New. You're going to select the date that you're going to enter that medical history. Then you're going to select the date of when that medical history happened. So for example, let's just say that on September the 5th of last year, the patient had heart surgery. Under the notes, you can say at the hospital, make any notes that you want. And again, you can add it to the chart note or click Save. You can add to the chart note later, edit, delete, activate, or inactivate. The psychosocial history, if you want to add something like that, you can click on New. Again, you can select the date. You can select of that history, say in the beginning of last year, due to the pandemic, the patient started smoking. You can choose to add it to your chart note or do it later. There you go. Now with the immunizations, we're going to click on New. You're going to select the date of the vaccine, the vaccine name. Just going to call COVID-19. 1 out of 2. No known secondary symptoms. You can go ahead and add it to your chart note or click on Save. There you go. You can add it to a chart note. You can edit, delete, inactivate, or activate. And then the last widget that we have is the prescriptions widget. This is a temporary widget because the ePrescribe is not connected to our software yet. So the way that you can handle your prescriptions as of now, you can click on New. You will select the provider prescribing that medication, the date. You can add a shipping method. This is usually if you're going to be doing some sort of a compound medication or something that needs to be shipped to the patient, or if the patient is going to pick it up at the pharmacy, you can always select other. And then the other shipping method can be patient pickup. Ship it. You can select the email. This is where you add the email of the pharmacy. So once you go ahead and enter the pharmacy email, then you can go ahead and switch to allergies and add any known allergy. It will bring up the list from the allergy widgets. You can click on Add. You can delete it if you need to. And then this is where you go ahead and add the medication that you will be prescribing. We don't have a database of medications. You will have to enter all of that information manually. The medication, the quantity, the refills, the direction needs to be added by you manually at the moment. And then if you do have the fax widget, if you do have the fax feature in MPN, you will be able not only to save the prescription and print it if you need to fax it outside of MPN, but you will be able to fax it directly from this widget. So if you don't have an e-prescribe feature, but you do prescribe, this widget is definitely going to help you. So that way you can still send out your prescriptions by either fax or email. Once you fill out all of the information, then you can go ahead and click save. So you can see now though, because I added a prescription, it will let me print it, email it, fax it, or save it. So let's go ahead and click print. This is how it's going to look. If you look at this prescription, there's something very important that is missing. What's missing? The DEA number. How do you get the DEA number in your prescription? So you need to go back to the software, and under the company settings, user settings, you're going to find your provider information. Click edit, and this is where you have to type your DEA number. Let's go ahead and save it. Go back to the EHR, and if you notice, it takes you back to where you were with the same charts open. Now, let's go ahead and print again to show the DEA number. There's your DEA number. You can now print it and fax it on your own, or you can email it to the pharmacy, or you can fax it directly from here if you have our fax module. The fax module is $20 a month extra because we do use a third-party HIPAA compliant fax server that will securely send all of your faxes, including your prescription, and you will also be able to receive faxes as well. So if you want to activate this, contact your customer service representative so that we can go ahead and do that for you. And of course, you can always click save. And there you have it. These are all the widgets in the patient's dashboard. Now let's take a look at the patient's information. It will display an image of the patient if you have a picture uploaded in MPN, it will display here at the top. It is a little small just because we want to leave all of the other information that is more relevant for your practice needs. If this information is not relatable to you and you would like other information displayed on your patient's information widget, you can click on this card and you will be able to pick and choose what information you want to display in that window. You can star anything that you want regarding personal information, seminar information, program information, plan information if you have them sign up to a plan, any medical, for example, the emergency contact, next of kin, care team, care doctor, pharmacy information, and then insurance as well. You cannot edit this information from this window yet. That is going to be in phase 2, but you can edit the information by going back to your software, finding that patient, clicking on edit, and now the medical information tab is added along with the other information that you can edit from here at the moment. Phase 2 is coming, so once we are able to make that update, you'll be able to update it directly from that window that I showed you. Underneath the patient information is going to be the chart notes section. This is similar to what you already had in the old EHR. Your charts created, you can print, you can clone, and you can delete a chart note. To add a chart note, you can click on this plus sign, select from the template, and click next. Your chart note will be open and you will be able to start typing. The great thing about this new charting is that it auto saves. Every 2 seconds, the software will read the information that you have entered, and in case the power goes out, you lost internet, you switched screens, you walked away, and the software logged you out and you forgot to save and you had lost all of that information, all of that is going to go away with our new auto save feature. So you can start typing, and even if you walk away, you're going to see that when all of these buttons at the top are disabled, it means that it is automatically saving. That's how you will know that the software is actually saving your information without you having to click save. We do suggest, though, that after you finish your entire chart note, that you do come to the save button at the top and click save. Why? If it already auto saves it for me, why do I have to click save? The reason for that is because you will be able to differentiate between a draft, something that you started that you never really got to finish and didn't even get a chance to click save, or that you actually went ahead and saved it, which means that it is actually a chart note that you can then finalize. So if you notice, my drafts don't have a finalize button nor a send to a supervisor option. But my other chart notes do. Why? Because I've already told the system, yes, I already took care of this chart note. It's good to go. I can sign it and finalize it, or I can actually assign it to somebody else. This is going to be helpful because let's say that you have an MA or you have an assistant that is going to start a chart note for you. This person, although is not a provider, can start a chart note, but will not be able to finalize if the user that created this chart note is not linked as a provider in MPN. So in this case, if your MA or your assistant starts the chart note for you with the vitals and the medication list and ICD codes and all of your widgets, adds them to your chart note, then they will be able to come to this icon and send it to the correct provider if needed. That is how you can assign. The icons here at the top are the print button, which let me show you how it looks. Beautiful. So that's how it prints. You can clone it, you can delete it, you can save it so that it saves as an actual chart note that is pending to be finalized. You can assign it and you can finalize it. So once you finalize a chart note, it is going to give you an alert. It says, are you sure you want to finalize this chart? You will not be able to make changes after finalizing. If you make the mistake of finalizing and you send us a chat asking us to unfinalize it for you, we will not be able to do that. All of the finalized chart notes are date stamped and time stamped with your signature. So you need to be very careful that once you do finalize this note, there's no turning back. So in this case, I will show you, you'll be able to see that there's a lock on this finalized chart note, and you cannot edit it. You can print it and you can clone it, but that's pretty much it. So as you can see, our charting is super fast, super easy. You can, with the quick notes and the templates that you already created in MPN, you will be able to chart faster than usual. One thing I do want to mention before finishing this video is that everyone in your staff has access to the patient dashboard, but only providers have access to their provider dashboard. So if you have an MA and you want them to see what you have here, they will not be able to do that. They can see the patient's dashboard, but they cannot see your provider's dashboard.